I feel like if you're human, you're crazy. And sometimes it's a good crazy. Sometimes it's a bad crazy. Sometimes it's a lukewarm crazy. And I think the least favorite of mine is the lukewarm. It's the one that claims objectivity when there's really no reason to be anything other than subjective. Even objectivity is just a subjective perspective, point of view. I don't think there's really perhaps any such thing as being objective. It's just the ego trick that our mind plays to make us feel superior to what we think about when we don't feel objective or think we're objective. So anyway, I'm not sure that has anything to do with where I was planning to go with this, but I'm going to try to find this idea here about not believing the things you tell yourself when you're sad and alone. I think I get the general idea of that, but I think believing the things you tell yourself, whether you're sad and alone or not, has nothing to do with being sad, alone, or with somebody. It's the things that we believe and the things that we tell ourselves and the stories that we tell ourselves. And, all of the language that we have, we got every single one of those words from somebody else. We have stories installed in our head from our culture, from our families, from our friends, and sometimes they're the good crazy stories, sometimes they're the bad crazy stories. But what we believe about the things that we tell ourselves is, well, really interesting. And I don't think we should shy away from our feelings or our thoughts at all. I think it's okay to be objective or subjective, because really these are just things we tell ourselves about what we think the real world is or isn't. And I really believe that the reason I'm still alive is my objective in life is to help people fall in love with every aspect of their lives, good, bad, in between, whatever it is. And if we love all the parts of ourselves, then we have a chance of migrating with other people so they fall in love with the parts of themselves that they're struggling with. And if we don't get through that ourselves, we can't be there for someone else when they need us. And sometimes when the person comes to us that's been down the road we've been down and can see around a few corners we can't see around, then they wake us up to a part of ourselves that existed before we met them. But we need each other. I think the hardest part to do on time, in my case, was being sad, feeling alone, feeling like I didn't matter, that my life doesn't matter, no one knows I'm alive or dead. And I remember when my ex told me that nobody in recovery cares about me, and they wouldn't care if I lived or if I died. If I died tomorrow, they wouldn't know or care. I know that it was meant to hurt me, and she said a great deal of things that were very hurtful, but You know, I've heard tough things before, and but how do we process what happens to us in life, and what stories are we going to believe? You know, um, my spiritual advisor, aka sponsor, Mary Jo Robinson, back in the day, said that I was walking with the enemy and that the enemy was me. And until I could love myself and forgive myself for everything, I wouldn't break through the veil of suicide and what's on the other side of that feeling of not wanting to be here. You know, there's many times in my life I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be here. I died in prison, not because someone killed me, but because of a broken heart, a grief-stricken broken heart. And my spirit left my body. My heart stopped beating, spirit left my body. And then, you know, I've told this story before, so I'm not going to tell it again, but I changed my mind in the spirit. I realized what happened. Oh my God, I just died. I knew why it happened, why my heart was broke, why I died. And I decided that's not going to happen. And I decided to continue living. And my spirit literally went back into my body and my heart started beating again. And I came away with a great many lessons from that. And if you want to hear more about that, look at one of my other videos or just ask me for it. And, but, you know, it's like the whole world has been watching us since we were born to some extent, but we still feel alone. And then there's times where we are alone, but we feel like the whole world is watching us. And the stories that are installed in our head by those that maybe were sick, they left behind the entrails of their sickness in our consciousness, but we don't have to keep replaying it. It's the old saying, are you going to let someone live rent free in your head? Well, no, we have to take back our power. And I heard that in early recovery. But despite all the lessons I've learned in life, I still feel sad. It's just part of my essence sometimes. And, you know, no matter what's going on in my life, I try to help other people want to be here, you know, try to help them see the good in themselves. And I think when I do that, it, it like cleans out some of the sadness or the grief from my essence, perhaps, or it at least distracts me for a while. And and we get through our moments, however we get through them. But you know, I guess in a way, we're never alone. And I feel like my higher power, God, was always there. And and all the things that have happened in my life, you know, they weren't wasted. And they sure leave me points of sorrow sometimes and wish I would have handled things differently. But can I say? There's just no way to go there, I guess. Can't take it back. And or maybe you can, I don't know. I there's some part of me that came to believe at one point that we can get our innocence back. It's like I really felt like I regained my innocence, like I got it back. And maybe that's the came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to my original condition. The one, you know, original condition that no one can give to me or take away. That. It's like Christ said, be ye as little children, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying, you know. be childlike. Don't be childish, but be childlike. So on that note, arrivederci. Next time.